Hey everybody, welcome back to Board and Savior. You know I like to keep things pretty PG-13 on this channel, and yet, I'm just gonna say it, Slaughter in the Groves. I actually started playing this one knowing that many people have said this box is a toughie, so I set my expectations around that. Guess what? This game figured that out. It knew I was coming in with my guard up, so it gave me just a cakewalk of a first session. Seriously, I played as Barbara, the shotgun-wielding final girl in this box, and I took out Inkanyamba in about 7 turns, barely breaking a sweat. After that, well, I'll save those stories for after you know a little bit about this feature film, but much sweatier. Before we jump into this thing, a commenter on one of my recent videos recommended Inside the Box, a board game YouTube channel with truly the best production, effects, etc. in the game. Definitely, most importantly, go check them out. Of course, be aware, they are a little bit naughtier than we get on this channel, intro to this video notwithstanding. The point of all this is to say that in their Game of Thrones the card game video, I saw this effect, which is way better than the dumb little static images of cards on screen that I've been doing. Now, I've got no idea how they did it, but I figured out a way to do it for this channel, okay? All it takes is a little zap. Now we're talking. Let's learn a little lore, huh? Our story takes place in the sacred groves, although the tourists sure aren't treating them as though they have any sanctity. They snap pictures, they climb onto ancient statues, and they disrespect the profound meaning that this place has to its natural inhabitants. One such inhabitant is a man who has forgotten his name, although that doesn't bother him, because he's assumed another, Inkanyamba. Bearing the name of a fabled protector, Inkanyamba seeks to rid the sacred groves of all those that would defile them and cleanse the ground with their blood. First of all, that lore makes me think about 2 things. One, I'm not really sure what this is based on. For the other Final Girl games we've talked about, there are clear parallels to Alien, Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th. For this one, I'm not so sure. The punishment for defiling sacred ground thing, that's in Poltergeist and Pet Sematary and in the film adaptation of The Shining, kinda, but the added element of a holy avenger rising to protect his homeland from the corrupting influence of outsiders? At least I haven't seen that movie. Let me know in the comments below if you think this is based on something specific or more of an original idea from the designers. The other thing I think about is Inkanyamba and how he's kind of right, obviously not about killing people, but the game describes these tourists as really freaking disrespectful. This card says one tourist climbs on top of a statue to take a selfie. This one says that another tourist is breaking pretty branches off of a tree. And this event says that the tourists are so annoying that the final girl herself wants to kill them. It doesn't fit with the rest of the game, but I kind of wish that once the final girl and Inkanyamba have cleared the tourists off the board, whether by killing them or saving them, that they could just shake hands and go their separate ways. But no. You gotta kill the guy. The good news for him is that he's crazy hard to kill. The gimmick with Inkanyamba is this Killer Wrath card. Throughout the game, terror cards and other effects may cause this wrath level to rise or to trigger. When it triggers, bad things happen. From smallishly bad things like the horror level rising to the worst things ever like Inkanyamba regenerating 2 health, raising the horror level, then moving to the closest enemy, and then attacking them twice. And that's in addition to his regular killer action. And all of this gets worse, yes, it gets worse, by the fact that his isn't the only wrath you have to contend with. This is the Divine Wrath card, and it comes with the Sacred Groves location. A few places on the board are designated holy sites, and the gods get very angry when tourists are standing on them. The badness on this card ranges from losing a little bit of time to discarding all of your action cards. Put them together and what have you got? Bibbity bobbity, you're all done playing now, you're dead. People told me this one was tough, and guys, that was not a fib. From what I've seen of Final Girl, the locations are typically a lot less deadly than this one. Sure, there are traps that can spring at the circus or neighbors who don't want to open their doors on Maple Lane, but this location can make you discard your whole freaking hand. Well, let me correct that. Discard your hand minus any Atonement cards you're holding. What are Atonement cards? I'm glad you asked. The best way to reduce the wrath levels is with these Atonement cards, which are specific to this location and this killer. These cards have an extra level of success for if you roll 3 successes. Roll none, and the horror level goes up by 1, and you lose 2 times. Roll 1 success, you can reduce either of the wrath tracks by 1. Roll 2 successes, and you can reduce either of the wrath tracks by half. And if you roll 3 successes, you can choose either that killer wrath or the divine wrath and reduce it all the way down to 1, no matter where it was. This isn't the game's fault, but my dice reserved their worst rolls for these cards. I played Atonement cards probably about 15 or so times across all of my plays, and I rolled 3 successes 0 times, 2 successes maybe 2 times, 1 success maybe 4 times, and I swear I'm not making this up, I rolled no successes like 9 or 10 times. Suffice it to say, I did not do much atoning, but on the bright side, I did die a lot. So, okay, I just need 1 success here. Just 1, and I don't die. Oh my. Wait a second. Apparently, it doesn't work with dice. So how do you beat this guy in this place? First, it wouldn't hurt for you to be a little bit luckier on those Atonement die rolls. I think things would have gone a good deal differently for me if I had scored 3 successes just once. The best strategy that I found to deal with Inkanyamba is to get your hands on a weapon straight away and just beat him down. If you're playing as Barbara, saving a few victims first can make things a lot easier. Her ultimate ability is that she can basically throw victims at the killer to increase damage. It does kill the victims, but it doesn't raise the bloodlust track. Brief aside, it was Barbara's power that made me wonder whether I was really any better than Inkanyamba at all. I mean, he's murdering people because they're desecrating stuff. She's killing people to kill him. It really seems like we all just kinda suck. If you're playing as Adelaide, just ignore the victims and start hitting the guy. There has to be a better way to go about it, but it's the only thing I ever did that worked. My best setup in this location was with the whip weapon. Whenever you deal damage to the killer with it, you can move them up to 1 space away. So I could hit Inkanyamba, move him away, and then wait in that space with a guard and a walk action in my hand. His killer action doesn't have a movement icon, so he won't come get you unless a terror card lets him. Then, next turn you can just move into his space and hit him again, assuming you're doing a good job of managing your offensive cards. It is not a perfect solution. There are more than a few terror cards that have Inky target a victim, which means that he will run away from you, but it worked okay the one time I beat him as Adelaide. But you don't want to hear about my successes. I know you. I know how sick and twisted you YouTube viewers are because I'm one of you. You want to hear about my failures. And who am I to say no? The best story I've got is one that I hadn't experienced before. In all of my plays of Final Girl, I had only ever turned over one of these final health tokens to reveal 3 hearts twice. For those of you that don't know, when you or the killer loses their last heart, it's not necessarily over. During setup, you shuffle all of these tokens, and most of them are blank on the other side, but some of them have a few extra hearts. Those hearts represent the last gasp of a particularly persistent Final Girl or killer. You lose those, and you are dead. Like I said, I've only ever turned over that final health token to see the best result, 3 hearts, twice. Both of those times were for the Final Girl, and both of those last gasps allowed me to play on and win. I am sure you see where this is going. I am on my last heart. I've got a ceremonial dagger in my hand, and I'm making a weak attack. In other words, 1 success on a weak attack deals a damage to the killer and a damage to me, which would kill me. I need 2 successes here. I roll the dice, and it's 2 of the discard 2 cards to turn this into a success results. I have exactly 4 cards in my hand. One of them, my only way to guard against attacks from the killer, and I have to discard all 4 of them to stay in the game. I do, turning both of those results into successes. I deal 1 damage with the card and another damage with the ceremonial dagger, slicing through Inkanyamba's last heart and his final health token. This is it. I've finally beaten him with Adelaide. And what do you know? He's actually alive and well with 3 hearts to his name. My turn is done. I buy a guard card, even though I know it's futile. He attacks, I block it, he attacks again, and there's nothing I can do. My last final health token, it's blank, so Adelaide dies again. Defeat snatched from the jaws of victory. Truly tragic. And yet, it was that play that sold me on this box. Before that, Inkanyamba was a tough cookie, a difficult roadblock to victory. But after that play, there was nothing in the world that was going to stop me from beating him fair and square. If I had won that game, victory would have been sweet, but like how a raisin is sweet. Winning after he pulled that crap, victory was an ice cream sundae, baby. That's one of the things that I absolutely love about Final Girl. Not only do stories emerge all the time, but rivalries do too. There are some boxes that you're just gonna happen to get absolutely whomped by. And Van Ryder Games knows that. It's no secret that this is actually a more difficult set, but no amount of playtesting could have predicted that specific situation, the buildup of multiple losses only to culminate in the closest loss of all. Now, does that great experience mean that I'm giving this box a 10 out of 10? It does not. Here's what I think this box has going for it. It is challenging, which is sometimes exactly what I and other players are looking for. It has some really cool ideas. The Divine and Killer Wrath cards are instantly evocative and threatening, and it lets you be Indiana Jones. Need I say more? The spot where this box leaves me wanting a little bit more is in the concept itself. Not to be all lame, but it does feel a little weird for the game to draw up a situation where you have to kill this guy who's trying to protect his homeland from being defiled. The game points out that he no longer remembers why he's doing this, that he's just a vessel for vengeance now, but I think it's pretty clear, no? The tourists are being assholes. Should you kill someone for being an asshole? No, that is not a nice thing to do, actually. But I really weirdly found myself wishing for some kind of peaceful resolution. In all the other Final Girl games, there is no moral quandary. When you're killing basically Freddy Krueger or Jason Voorhees, you're doing an act of community service. Here, it just felt a little meaner than I liked, especially with Barbara's kill victims to deal more damage power. Do all stories need to be cut and dry, good versus evil? No way, no how. But does it help when you have talented actors who can show the nuances of the situation as opposed to little plastic and wooden guys? I think so. Okay, shut up about that now. What's my rating? I think I'm gonna go with a solid 7 out of 10. The challenge is great. Those Wrath cards are super interesting and tricky to mess around with. I just think I like a Final Girl box where I know specifically what it's referencing a little bit more. Overall, a strong box that'll keep you coming back if you want to figure out how to optimize your path through the challenge. Well, that'll about do it for this week's Board and Savior video. Make sure to like and subscribe for more board game goodness every dang dong Wednesday. Hi. What's up, guys?
Make more of us. You owe us. You killed Danny the Dye.
And remember, if you don't see me Wednesday, send help. Bye.